I see your demons, I'm telling them it's on sight. I'm just playing, I don't fight, I do pray. I only go the way of Mr. Yahweh. Try to correct me.
Living your best life.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're literally living your best life.
Because we've been following you, and it's like
I jumped off the side of a building the other day.
I know. I saw like that exactly.
How do we tell us a little bit about that? How do we end up there?
It was Dan. He always makes us do, not makes, right? It's optional, but he always sets up extreme just moments for us to just push ourselves to the next level. So he made us rappel off a 475-foot building.
And when you said like rappel, like is it like a bungee jump?
Or is it like the ones that you're like almost like standing on the building?
Yeah, it's like where your legs are out and you're pushing against the building, you're rappelling off the side.
Almost like in the rocks, right?
Yeah, like kind of like
rock climbing.
Yeah,
it was off the side of a perfectly nice building.
What'd you learn about yourself through that experience?
That honestly, you can do anything you want to do if you're focused. So I was the very first one that went.
Of course.
Because I knew that if I don't have an issue with heights, but that's another level of heights. And so I knew that if I let other people influence what was going on, so I wanted to be the first one. I'm like, I just want to go. Just let me go. And so I was the first one, and I just knew I couldn't look down. So I was just looking at my instructor. His name was Doug, and I was like giving Doug the death stare. And I was just fixated on him, and I did it. I never looked down. And you know what? My body didn't go into fight or flight. I didn't get scared because I was so fixated on just look at Doug. Like,
yeah.
And I didn't look down until I got far enough down that I could hear the cars. I did have an extreme experience. They came up to apologize to me after I got done. The weather was bad, and they thought it was going to clear, and the wind picked up. As soon as I stepped on the edge of the building, it got windy, and I said, is it me or did the wind pick up? Because I was already on the roof, so it wasn't like the wind from being on the roof.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's picked up a little bit. It should get better. And like the wind was slamming me against the side of the building as I'm trying to come down. And they're trying to pull me against the building because the wind's but then I couldn't get slack to come down. But it was fine.
That sounds like a fun experience.
That's kind of like a good analogy of like entrepreneurship, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So when I got down, they were interviewing, the guy come up, Dan always has cameras everywhere. And he's like, so what was the scariest thing? Is that the scariest thing you've ever done? And I said, no, actually it wasn't that bad. He's like, what's the scariest thing that you've done? I said, run a business.
Yeah. You're not wrong about that.
Yeah. Like run a business, firing someone that you like, that's to me was harder.
Dang.
Let me ask you on that right now. So a lot of people, I would agree. I think a lot of businesses right now have employees that they know they need to let go of that they probably don't because of the emotional attachment, right?
Yes.
We have a few like ways that we do it when it has to happen, but give us some insight into that. I know you're big in the with recruit, right? So you help people hire, but part of that is when you help people hire, they're eventually you'll need to fire somebody.
Yes.
What advice would you give on how you do it, or maybe some frameworks on it?
Well, first, just like rappelling off the side of the building, put yourself in some circumstances, like what's pushing you to the edge, and think about that. And then what are some environments you can put yourself into to kind of practice that? So the gym being a really great one to push yourself to the edge, working out, maybe jumping off the side of a building. What else? We've done some stuff with
cutting out sugar.
Yeah.
Just pushing yourself to the edge and figuring out what the thing is that you're it's keeping you from the edge, but also set yourself up with some almost like fake scenarios. It's kind of like interval training.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
If you
That's good.
do it on purpose a little bit at a time, you can build it up so that it doesn't stress you out so much. It doesn't, you're not running on those emotions so much, you can control it.
Yeah.
So try to do those things. I think that's why Dan has us do these weird things. Like one year he had the Navy SEALs come in, teach us how not to drown. They tied our hands behind our back and they threw us in the water.
Okay.
And we had to figure out how not to drown while our hands were tied behind our backs.
Holy cow.
And I think that's why he does those things to us. But my advice to people is, it's never easy, and that's okay. And it doesn't need to be easy because that means you're human and you still have feelings. So if you think if it ever gets easy, you should probably actually question that in yourself. But you know that it should be done. And you have to know that if it's someone you need to fire, that we need to promote them to another company because this is obviously not the right fit for them. Whether it's core values or capacity, it's setting them free so that they can go find the right company.
Yeah.
Sometimes employees don't have the courage to quit. And it's kind of up leveling them, like I said, to go
putting them in that position too.
That's so true.
But question, if someone is going through that though, let's say they are, because we always think when we think of firing, we think of the owner or the main person firing somebody under them, somebody in their team. But I'm a big believer of what you just said. You also have to fire your boss in the sense of like, you can't fire him from the company, but you stepping out of the company so that you can keep growing. What advice would you give to someone that maybe is in a company? They feel maybe already limited. They already know. Usually people already know when it's going to work or not. What advice would you give them so that they can maybe not burn the bridge, but still do it in a very professional
From the
manner?
employee's perspective?
Yeah, from the employee's perspective.
Yeah. I think just being open and honest. I mean, it's difficult conversations. Nobody likes to have them. But I think it just depends on how you run your company too. Like it's really hard for an employee to be transparent and open if that's not what they're getting. So I think that, it depends on how the company's ran. Because if you go and you be open and honest, but the owner's not open and honest, they could get offended, right? So it really is per circumstance or how that owner runs the company. One of my core values in all our companies is, open and honest. I'm brutally honest to probably a fault, but then our staff feels super comfortable to say like, hey, I don't really like this comp plan. Like, I think that we're missing the mark because this account takes like a little bit more work. So I think we should adjust it. And I'm like, oh, actually that makes sense. But if I'm not an open and honest boss, then my employees are not going to be open and honest. They're not going to be able to come and tell me those things because they're going to feel insecure or that maybe I'm going to come back at them. So I think for an employee, you should look at how the managers manage and the leaders lead and really how the owners inject that value into the business. And that's kind of the way you're going to have to approach it. Because if you approach it from a different way, it may not go well.
I like that idea because now I like that concept, not idea, because it's like a little mirror. So if you're like, oh man, we were talking about that earlier where it's like, oh man, no one wants to work. Everybody just quits on me or people just don't. And it's like,
no, they just don't work for you.
Exactly. Right. They don't want to be open with you because you're not open back. They don't want to work for you because they can tell you don't work on yourself. Like there's a correlation between how people quit and how like that open relationship with the leader, I
mean, I just had someone, it was in this April recently, just completely in my company, one of my companies blast me for how horrible we were to work for. Absolutely horrible. And I was like, and it kind of hurt my feelings. And I will say I overreacted just a little bit. Like I didn't scream at the person and I overreacted because I got emotional and it was hard to hear. And what I had seen is, they were very unhappy, but it was because we had made changes. And I was more involved now. And that level of accountability didn't match with them. Because he's like, why can't you just leave me alone and let me do my work? Because we were doing like culture stuff and engaging and having like like open work rooms on Zoom.
Yeah.
And they were just like, leave me alone and let me do my work. I liked the other boss better. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And it was actually really great information and eye-opening that I wasn't trying to micromanage and I wasn't micromanaging, but I was just, we had shifted that culture because my prior COO wasn't injecting the same culture that I was bringing. And it made some people really uncomfortable. And it started to come out. But it also made me feel really bad because I was like, how did we let it get this far? Out of control.
Like where they feel that's bad. Yeah.
I have a question around that. I think that's a really interesting story you just brought up. So when that situation happened and you were kind of feeling bad, and the person went on, what did you learn about you as a business owner through that situation?
I mean, I learned that one, I had the wrong COO in place for a while. Great person. Like I really liked them, but they weren't delivering the culture piece. And we had started to hire people and put people in place that when he left, I went and looked and I said, I don't even, like, these people don't even fit. Yeah. So like if your company feels like, how did we attract all these people, or they're wrong fit, or, maybe your COO or your manager, ops manager, office manager, whatever we want to call them, isn't delivering that culture in the right way. And then when you step in, like it goes to crap.
Hey, are you ready to challenge yourself? Mark your calendars for the event of the year, the Cleaning Profits Takeover Edition, happening in Denver, Colorado from September 24 to 26. Head over to event.cleaningprofits.com for all the details. For being listeners, use code CEO30 for a 30% discount. See you there.
Yeah, totally.
And so it showed me, one is, I need to work on myself because, again, I got a little over emotional. Yeah. Because I told him he didn't like it because, I'm holding you accountable now. Yeah. Like, and I overreact a little bit. All of our stuff is recorded in our business. In all my companies, we practice a very transparent, asynchronous type of management. So everything's recorded. So I had my executive assistant watch the recording. I had my husband who was out there. I said, could you watch this? Because I felt like I really got too emotional. And I was like, could you watch this and give me some feedback on how did I act? And so they were like, oh, I would have went off. My executive assistant was like, wow, you stayed really calm. And my husband's like, oh, he was ready to go off on the person. Because the person did get pretty disrespectful. But what I learned about myself was I still need to work on myself. Yeah. But I am getting better as far as how I react. Yeah. And then kind of, and this is a Dan Martell thing, it's all based on how we react, right? And he said it's like a C. You react, you take a second, and then you create. And it's like, did he mean to hurt my feelings? He didn't. He was just trying to express what he was going through in that moment. And then it's create. How do I create my response? How do I choose to respond back to him? That I'm getting better at it, but I'm still not, I still haven't gotten there.
This is a great topic because I think as people grow their companies, they start hiring like CEO, COO, CFO. And then you notice when you kind of took a look right behind the curtain, you're like, wait, hold on. How do we get here? You're right. Like keeping someone accountable shouldn't be a big thing, but depending on what they've been installed. So let me ask you, did you learn that they hired the wrong people or they hired the right people, but just didn't infuse the right culture? Because you could hire great people, but if you don't infuse them with who you are, they'll use their old habits. Yep.
It's called a bottleneck because it starts from the top. So it's my fault. The COO we weren't hiring for culture, right? Okay. It was wrong fit. They had great skills, good capacity. They did good work. But when I started to come in and you really see that culture of open and honest, working together, we are a team. It didn't fit. And I started to do one-to-ones and I could hear it in the one-to-ones with I don't like the monthly team meetings. Like, I just want to get my work done. I don't like the camaraderie stuff or them not showing up to we call it coffee and conversations. We have it every Wednesday, where we come and work in an open Zoom room. That's cool. Like when they don't show up, and we're just talking about random stuff, drinking coffee while working. We could talk about fitness or health or family. And you see those nuances kind of just subtly start to creep in. Yeah. But they were wrong fit hires when it comes to values. But it's really hard for other people to hire people for your company unless they have to be like salespeople. They have to be your biggest cheerleader. They have to think that if you don't take this job, you're crazy. This is the best place in the world to work. Right. If they don't think that, they're going to be able to really hire for you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really great point. I have a question along those lines. I didn't expect the conversation to go here, but I'm glad. I love it too. Would you say it's more important to hire on skill set versus value and principle? I think I know your answer. Yeah. And if it is value and principle through the initial interview process, how do you uncover that to see if they align?
Well, I think it depends. So it's 100% value. Like, I talk to people every day that's struggling in hiring or even retention. And at the end of the day, for business owners, hits our profit, our bottom line. If we hire wrong, it comes from the owner's pocket, and it's a costly mistake. I talked to someone the other day, and she's struggling, and she's like, "But I want them to have graduated high school and have these many skills and this many years and this." And I'm like, "But you just told me." And I said, "Oh, do you have good training?" She's like, "Yeah, we have great training." I was like, "Okay, great." I said, "Then we don't care about skill."
Yeah.
Because then you can teach everybody.
Let's go.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we want to look only for values, because we can teach anyone to clean a house, wash a window, right? To clean, to mow, to whatever. So it also depends on the level of hire you're hiring.
Yeah.
If you're hiring a COO, or if you're hiring a technician in the field, it depends on that interview process and the cadence of interviews you're going to have.
Yeah.
But it's all down to values. I don't care what position you're hiring for. It has to be values, and then skill is next.
Yeah.
And if you're hiring a COO, they have to be someone that you would leave your kids with for the weekend.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're leaving them with, your business,
Well
which
said.
is your child, which you birthed from infancy. And if you're not comfortable enough to leave your kids over the weekend with a COO, like a new hire, then they're not the right hire. It's a level of trust.
There's a few places we could take this. One, you said something that I don't think people will catch. You said, well, I want them to have this and this and this. And then you asked her, how good's your training? She said, oh, great training.
Yeah.
You have it to the T. Oh, well, then you don't really need them to have any skills. You just write the right person with the right values, bring them in. The training piece, though, I know many cleaning companies, many companies in general, that they don't have trainings. So that's why they overcomplicate would you say that because of the lack of training, they might overcomplicate the hiring process? Like almost try to be finding unicorns in the wild instead of doubling down on the training, or do you not see that as often?
I mean, I see it. I see it also, I think, because that's what we were taught to do. Like the traditional ways of hiring, the pre-COVID ways of hiring was you wanted to look for skill, right? It was the whole old hiring or interviewing sequence and flow, and this is how you do it. But the world has changed, and we have to change with it. It's not giving in, and it's not throwing in the towel. It's just changing with it. And what people want, what we want, what owners want, what employees want, change too. And we all want three things. We want to work how we want, when we want, and where we want.
Yes.
And we sometimes can't give, say, like a cleaning technician that benefit, but we can to a certain degree. And once you realize that and you can sell that part of your job, you can attract some really great culture fits. So who cares what kind of experience they have?
Talk to us about how you can give it to a certain degree, like a cleaning tech to that freedom.
So how I want. You can have a training, and as long as they follow the core principles of the training, I don't really care how they deliver the little nuances or details to make it their own, right? So, we do cleanings. We have a cleaning training, but I don't care if they write a hand note. I don't care if they arrange the towels in a certain way or the pillows out there on that couch a certain way. They can still have their own flair to their work. So you have a baseline, and then that's how I want, right? When I want. We changed ours to windows of arrival time.
Oh,
so
interesting.
That because we want to attract great parents. And so if you want to drop off your kid at school, you want to pick them up, we then changed it to windows of arrival time. I don't care if you arrive between 8 and 9, it's up to you, but you just have to arrive between 8 and 9. And so for other jobs, we have like 3 hours of window of arrival time so that they can have more flexibility and work when they want within that window.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then the work, that was how I want. Oh, where I want was the last one.
Yep.
And the reason I got these ideas was I was in a hotel room getting ready to go speak on stage somewhere, and my husband was with me, and an Uber commercial came on, and they're like, work from an app, work here, get paid today, like be your own boss. And I'm like, oh my God, how are we supposed to compete with that? And so I started to look at our jobs, and they're traditional jobs, but we don't have to keep thinking about them in a traditional way. So the work where I want was all of our cleaning technicians work from an app.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today's episode is brought to you by Cinch. If you're ready to take your commercial cleaning business to the next level, we have you covered. Maybe you're struggling with how to bid, how to create professional-looking proposals, or just how to ensure your customers' accounts are actually being cleaned at night. Introducing Cinch Janitorial Software. Cinch is a simple, user-friendly software that eliminates these types of struggles that you probably know all too well. Cinch simplifies your entire process and will supercharge your success because they remove paperwork headaches while creating a scalable, efficient, and profitable cleaning business. Get your free demo of Cinch at cleancinch.com. They're here to turn your business into a success story. That's cleancinch, CINCH.com. It's simple, it's Cinch.
Which is just like all of these other side gigs. But we never think about work, where you want. Like, you can work from an app. You still have to go to a certain place, but you don't have to come to an office. But you can work from home.
Yeah. But if you would have not written it down, I could see myself, like I just went through a job application in my brain. And if you just say, if you don't put like where you work from or work from an app, you automatically assume subconsciously that you're going to an office.
Yep.
That's good.
So we can still hit those markers within a certain realm so that we can be competitive and still be sexy in a competitive market, saying, even if it's commercial cleaning techs or residential cleaning, you can still say you can work how you want, when you want, where you want, within certain parameters.
What was your?
I like that.
It sounds so simple, like just the arrival window.
No, but like it's like
simple change, but what a
good.
What a big change! Like especially like a working, mom trying to drop off a child at school, and
they thanked me when we made those changes. Our technicians thanked us because they're like, now I don't have to pay for before care.
Yes.
Now I can drop off my child. Just giving them that little bit of flexibility. And we still have great quality. We still have great reviews. I think we have over 500 or 600 Google reviews. And it didn't affect anything. If anything, it attracted better quality candidates to our job.
Totally.
And let me ask you, what % of actual employees end up taking that leeway of like, you get here between, because it's funny, a lot of people are like, I need notifications in case they miss cleans or in case they don't show up. And I'm like, real quick, what % of your employees don't show up?
Oh, none, because
they're like,
for us.
They're like 1% or 0.5%. And I'm like, then why are you why is
they're
that
worried
such
about
a big
problem that hasn't even happened yet?
Yes.
Maybe if you gave them the flexibility, that problem wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
And if it is a problem, then they shouldn't be there. So that's why you should always be recruiting.
I love that, man. I love that.
I love how your brain operates.
So, yeah, me too. So much substance here. Hiring, firing question, just because it was on my mind when we were talking about that, and I have to get it out. I heard this statement long ago, and I'm curious to see if you think it's true. At the moment that you think about firing someone, have you already made the decision?
You have. It's very rare that it comes back.
Yeah.
But you also have to ask yourself, did I do everything?
Yes.
To support that person in that position? Did I give them all the tools they needed, all the support, all the training? Typically the answer is no.
Yes.
But why do leaders then struggle to know that the answer is no? Because what you just asked was exactly how we do it. Once one of us, we always say, once one of us gets that thought, because sometimes the other partner will get the thought and the other partner won't. Okay. And so they're like, I'm done. And then you're like, what? I didn't see that coming. And we always ask, well, did we do everything in our power? Did we sit with them?
It's just like with our kids.
Yeah.
When your kids fail at something, you don't have kids yet.
No.
So you don't.
I don't know. I 100% agree.
It's just like with our kids. If they fail at something, we have to ask ourselves, did we give them all the resources and support and training or coaching that we needed to for them not to have done that? And typically the answer is always no.
Yep. Absolutely.
I love that. But people don't do it. People are so egotistical.
So yeah, I think, and then it's evolved to like, if you start to have that thought of, hey, maybe should I let this person go? I heard someone else say, I apply the 3 T's. Can you tolerate it?
Yes.
2, have you trained on it?
Yes.
And then the third one is termination.
Yes, that's actually my post.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, I put
that. Okay, well, by yours truly, right here. Like I said,
tolerate, train, terminate.
Okay, awesome. So
hey, your content's working. See?
Yeah, look, I know I didn't know who said it or where I read it, but yeah, that's awesome.
That's great. That's good.
I mean, typically we don't. We hire someone and we think they're going to fix our problems.
There you go.
And they don't even know what our problems are.
Yeah. Let's go. That's so true.
And then we hire someone and they think, oh, why can't they do their job or why can't they manage themselves? We can't even manage our own self.
Yes.
And so that's why they need support. One of the biggest things that I'm an advocate of is when we hire people, I don't care if they're cleaning technicians or office staff or admins or even COOs, they need training on just how to manage their inbox, how to manage their calendar, how to manage their time. And you can't manage time, by the way, because you can't control it. Time is a tool. It's not something we manage. And they just don't know how to do these things. Again, we have to give them the resources and training to be able to do that. We pay for it as owners and entrepreneurs, but we barely pass those things down or teach them.
I agree.
Yeah, just like simple email etiquette, like, and calendar management. Like that is a lot of people
don't know how to, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. When we automatically, I think because we're owners, we feel like they should automatically know that. But
yeah,
you'll be surprised how many people just don't know how to use a calendar.
Yeah, it was someone that's been with us for like 3 years now. She's amazing. I never would have known this, but she told me a few months back, she's like, when I first started working here, I literally did not know how to send a calendar invite.
Yeah.
Now, I never would have known that, but she figured it out, right? But it's like, wow, okay, we are failing and not hitting the blind spots we need to hit.
So we do internal training. This comes from my organizing side. So my cleaning company is called Organize It. We're the most organized cleaning company in the world. Like that's our tagline. But it taught me a lot. And so we do a lot of internal training with our team on, soft skills, organizing your calendar. Here's how you work the perfect week. Like we create perfect week. Here's how you manage your preloaded year so that you know what your year is. Like, here's how you manage these things. So we do a lot of internal training because I had an epiphany moment where I was doing a ton of coaching to like residential cleaning companies. And I had this moment where like I was neglecting my own staff, like my own team. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like I'm over here helping a whole bunch of people, which I love to help. And I have this issue with saying no. But I'm like, my own team needs me and I'm not even fulfilling that. So I made like this promise that I would make sure that I continue to do internal training and be there for my team first. And then if I have time, I'll do coaching.
We just had a guest say something. He was like, every time somebody brings to me $1 they want to spend in marketing, it better be attached to $1 spent in training.
Yeah.
And it reminds me kind of what you're talking about right now. And you particularly, you're like, I just realized I didn't train my team. And I'm like, now I'm reflecting and I'm like, we do have a lot of skills that you don't really pour onto your team. Like, for example, just financial skills. Now that I'm making this money and I'm paying these taxes,
oh God,
what do I do now?
Suck?
Yeah. And like, what do I do now?
I want to say that so they get it really well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you provide do you guys also do things more in that personal side of the things? Or?
I do for our cleaning company. I do.
Okay.
Nice.
That's something we've been really good at as providing them. We have a dream. Well, we had a dream wall. We don't have the wall anymore, but we have like we're going to say like a dream Google Doc where, we capture what some of our cleaning technicians' biggest goals or dreams are. And a lot of us owners are scared to ask that question because we think they're going to say, oh, I want to raise or I want more money. And typically it's not that. Their dreams are like to buy a car, to buy a house, go on vacation, get out of debt. They're very simple.
Yeah.
And they're very easy to help them achieve by providing good resources. So we've done really well in that with Organize It. I've not done so well with that with Woot Recruit because the team is entirely virtual.
Yeah.
So finances work different, like in South America or the Philippines. So I'm still struggling with that, but I do training on like soft skills or things that I've learned.
Yeah.
We've done vision boards where we've done vision. I've had the head of marketing like create templates and we've made vision boards. It's great to hear like them achieve things on those vision boards. But I haven't done the financial training or how to buy a house in Woot Recruit because I don't know how it goes. I haven't figured that out.
It's different.
It's different. They do have similar goals though, for sure. And they humble you when you hear a goal of someone from the Philippines and the South America, and they're like, "Oh, just get in.
I want to buy an air conditioning.
I just want an AC unit."
Yeah.
And then you're like,
"It's like, how much is it? $400."
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
they're
let's just get it for
and
you.
this would be a game changer.
Well, we started to provide for our virtual team tech, bonuses.
Yeah.
And we allow them to buy them an air conditioner with tech bonus because they're working inside all day.
Yeah, totally.
It is part of
it's a real
them
thing.
doing a good job.
Imagine over 300 cleaning executives, all under one roof, ready to connect, collaborate, and build a community. Join your hosts, James Harper and Angel Sandoval, 11 keynote speakers, and 8 expert panelists sharing the blueprint to scale your life and business. Head over to event.cleaningprofits.com for all the details. For being listeners, use code CEO30 for a 30% discount. See you there.
I have a personal question for you.
Yes.
Would you say you're someone that seeks more challenge or adventure?
Interesting.
I don't know.
That's an interesting question.
It is a challenge or adventure. Inherently, probably challenge.
The reason I asked that is because since I've known you and I've been following you, you just talk about climbing down this building. I remember you were doing a while back, building up your push-up challenge.
Oh yeah, I hurt my arm and I had to stop.
Yeah, but
that's so sad.
But
push-ups.
Yeah, what's that?
Too many push-ups.
Yeah, too many push-ups, right? But I was following your journey along that, and then the no sugar and all
wild.
and
you should hear what I'm doing now.
Well, and then tell us.
Let's go.
Give us the new challenge.
It's a challenge and it's not, but it definitely is challenge because it motivates me to continue to go versus the adventure is kind of but I was telling my husband, it's funny, when I was getting ready to rappel off the side of that building, I was kind of I got a little nervous, but when the guy started to literally yell at me, because I couldn't pull the rope up because there was so much weight on the rope and the wind was blowing so hard that it made the rope. He goes, "Do it like you mean it." And I was something clicked in me. So I was yeah, maybe that's why I like hanging around Dan Martell because he's very intense. I was something, and I noticed that in me, something clicked in me that I'm all right, let's go. But it's challenge. And so the new thing, I've been sugar-free and processed carb-free.
Nice.
For 3 years. And
processed carb.
So that's crackers, cookie, complex carbs.
Okay. I was whoa.
It's just processed food.
Yeah. For 3 years?
For 3 years.
Wow.
Yes, I have not had a piece of sugar in 3 years.
Wow.
It wasn't that hard. I did it originally to lose weight. I had my youngest child older in life, and it was not easy. And man, it changed everything for me. It changed, I had allergies and inflammation, and all that started to go away. And then, I started to feel some of it come back a little bit. And I think it's because I'm getting older. And I started to go to ketovore, it's called.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of a keto, but more carnivore based.
Yeah, totally.
And so in the last 2 to 3 months, I went almost totally carnivore.
How do you like that?
I've heard mixed feelings about that from people. Yeah. I would love your thoughts on that.
So it's also something, and there's a few people in Dan's group. I'm in the boardroom with Dan Martell from SAS Academy. It's not him, it's some of the other members.
Yeah.
Just sitting at a table, the power of sitting at a table, having dinner with someone, no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
Don't miss those moments. Because I had that conversation 3 months ago in Austin, Texas, with someone at the table. And I told my husband, that's the next thing I need to do. Because I felt the arthritis and inflammation coming back. My weight gain had kind of slowed a little bit. My weight loss had kind of plateaued. So I went to the more carnivore. And it's, everyone's body's different.
Yeah.
Every single person's body. So I'm not saying you have to be a carnivore. I'm saying that I know that my body cannot handle carbs and sugar. I just gain weight, and I can feel the inflammation just run into my body. So the one thing I like it is you're kind of cleansing your body of everything because you're just running on fat and protein. So the second you take a bite of something else, you see how your body will react to it. Like I found out through this process, I can't eat tomatoes. I'm allergic to artificial sweeteners, but I didn't have these issues before because I had little doses of it in my body. I like it. It's working for me right now. There's a percentage you want to find of like 90-10, like 90% carnivore, 10% plant-based. You don't want to drop below 70-30, like 70 meat carnivore and 30 plant. Like that's kind of the limits.
Right.
That's cool.
But I lost more weight. I posted a before and after picture on social media of what I looked like. And I had never looked at it until that day I posted. I was like, oh my God, I look like that person's mom before. It makes me feel amazing. I have energy. I have clarity. There's no more brain fog. Like it's just, it works really well for my body. I've never been thinner since I can remember.
Wow.
What it's done for my skin is absolutely. So if you're a woman and you're listening, like it's absolutely amazing. It's called like I don't know if they call it the carnivore glow or keto glow. I don't know. Where your skin just has more elasticity in it because as we get older, you see this people that as they get older, like their skin starts to thin.
Yeah.
It's totally changed so many things. It's weird.
I will say you're probably one of the healthiest people I've seen transformations from, like that we've known that we've kept up with at least for a while. You're like on your prime right now.
Yeah, and I'm the oldest I've been ever, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's just listening to your body, and education can go a long way. So learn about it. Like I bought books on it. It took me 3 years to evolve into this. It wasn't like I just did it yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
I read about the carbs and sugar, and then I went into the more ketovore and then carnivore. So just educate yourself because I think everyone's body works different.
Yeah, 100%.
My husband, I don't think he could do that diet. He wouldn't weigh anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
yeah. One thing I've always appreciated about you,
that's
Libby,
one thing me and him.
I say the same thing. I'm like, guys, I think I need carbs. If not, I'll disappear.
Yeah.
I'll just disappear. Like if I just eat.
And there's a part of me that was one of our biggest issues in marriage, is that he was skinny, and I almost hated him for it.
Really?
That's an interesting topic right there.
Let's go there.
That subconsciously or consciously?
Both. Like I was jealous. I'm like, why can you eat that shit? Sorry, why can you eat that?
Trust me.
I'm like, why can you eat that shit? And I can look at it and get fat. Like I don't understand. And as a woman, I want to be thinner than my husband, or at least the same size. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and so it was a real issue for me personally. I didn't ever tell him this. I mean, I do now.
Yeah.
But
do you think he knew though?
Yeah. Because of those side comments she would make.
Yeah. Oh, those wonderful side comments. Those clues.
And I didn't really realize how big of an issue it was to me until I kind of matured through that a little bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
I promise you there's couples going through that right now, but it's just not a topic people want to bring up though. Well, do you wish you would have brought it up before?
Yeah, I think it would have helped us get through it a little bit. I wouldn't be so spiteful to him fast, like him you can eat ice cream or you can eat that. Like, now that I understand my body and know that it just things work different for other people.
Yeah.
I'm more understanding about it, and it's not his fault.
He's like sitting there eating ice cream, happy and sad at the same time. He's just like, I don't want to eat this, but it's so good. But I don't want to eat this,
One thing I really respect about you is how it seems like you just have this intensity to attack life in different facets, like, okay, from the health and fitness. And then we're talking about your marriage, which, by the way, you've also documented your marriage and your morning dates. And which has been a big thing, which we can talk about. But then you're a badass business owner, and then you're also a badass learner with and a mom.
3 kids.
So 3 kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
So but it just
I didn't know, I guess.
Feels like you attack it, right? I don't know, and I think that has to play into the success of the realm of each one of those pillars right there.
Well, if you think having a failing business is expensive, try getting a divorce.
Yeah. And
one thing I learned is that you cannot have a successful business. I don't care how hard you try. I don't care how hard you work on it. If you do not have a healthy marriage, it's not going to work. in one of my favorite books, it's Think and Grow Rich. It says one of the reasons why business owners fail is because the choice of a wrong partner or spouse.
Yep.
And it's not partner and spouse in business, it's the partner and spouse in life. Because running a business, there's a holistic side of business that we don't talk about a lot. It's like, how does it affect your marriage, your health, your kids?
Yeah.
Like my 6-year-old called us out the other day because me and my husband love to work. We work together. And sometimes I'm like, dude, can I just brush my teeth without you around?
Yeah.
That happened the other day in the hotel because we work together. So we live together. But, anyways, my 6-year-old called us out on a Saturday. We were like, let's go to the pool and work. Because we were working on a fun project.
Right.
And my 6-year-old goes, it's Saturday. You're not supposed to have your computer. I was like, yep, you're right. So we both like shut it.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But if we don't, we don't work on our marriages first. And I put marriage up there close to my personal health. Like they're just about equal. If we don't put them first, then we're not going to succeed in business. It's going to be super hard. And I learned that the hard way from my prior relationship or marriage. That you're not going to succeed, and we have to work on that first. So we have that support and that foundation. So when we are stressed out, or we do have a bad day, or we want to talk about business, they understand why. And so that's where kind of the morning dates came from, which has been great.
Concept.
And if you don't know what they are, you're simply just going on a date in the morning instead of at night. And ours are like a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And it's a dedicated 30 to 45 minutes together in the morning to talk and drink a cup of coffee. And we walk.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's all it is. Because we found with kids and business and employees, everything would affect those date nights.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't have them and you start to lose that connection.
Yeah.
So we have them every single morning and we let life tell us when we don't have one. That came from you on working out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, say like don't take days off because life will give you the days off.
Life will give us the days off.
Why have I never heard you say that?
I don't. Maybe you just
What?
don't listen.
You weren't listening because you were in that conversation.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, no, I think that's awesome. Especially, I know a lot of people listening right now can relate to that chaos of managing all those pillars. And like, there's so many times my wife and I have scheduled a date night, and then something happens.
Yeah,
like
kids, customers, employees.
Exactly.
Like name the variable.
You know what? And we'll both be in agreement. Like it will be a kid thing for whatever reason. We'll be like, you know what? No, we're supposed to go on a date tomorrow. Sister-in-law's in town. We'll just move it to next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And then we don't move it or whatever. So I like the stillness almost of just let's get coffee. And
I was thinking like starting the date together. Like I bet like the sun's beaming. You're barely getting your thoughts to like start coming out, and then you're having a coffee with your husband. I'm sure that's more beautiful than also when you have date nights. I'm not saying date nights are not great, but you also just came with an overload of information for everything that you went through to the day. I like the idea of the morning when you're like,
great point.
Some thoughts come in the morning that you're like, this is not gonna come out at 5 p.m. That's like at 5 p.m. I'm already overwhelmed.
And we love it. We've started it. It was a year ago last week. Out of 365 days, we've done 324.
That's pretty good.
Only missed 41 days.
That's pretty good.
And you guys know how much I travel.
Yeah.
And so we'll do it on the phone. We'll do it on FaceTime. Like,
oh, that's smart.
And I get a lot of pushback from people because they're like, oh, I have kids, I can't do it. Or, oh, I have this where I can't do it. And I'm like, you can do it. You just have to figure out how do you do it.
Yeah.
I have a 6-year-old.
Well said.
So we just walk literally around the outside of our house.
Yeah.
Like, so if she wakes up, because we do it while she's still sleeping, if she wakes up, we're just outside.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going far. Or you can just sit in your dinner table and have breakfast together.
Yeah, totally. Sit in the backyard.
Or sit in the lanai or the backyard or the porch.
Be present.
Like, we're making it so complicated. Make it simple.
Why do you feel like we overcomplicate things?
Because we're special. Our brains are sparkly.
Yeah.
There's a great book, and it's Michael Sharafan wrote it, and he is the guy that wrote the Billionaire Code.
Okay.
And he has this book called the EPT. It's called the Entrepreneur Personality Type. It's a tiny little booklet. It's free. If you read that, you're like, oh my God, now I know what's wrong with me. And he talks about all of the personality types that entrepreneurs are, but he talks that we all operate on some sort of a spectrum, right? We all have either very slight tendencies to have it like ADD, ADHD, dyslexia. Some of us are sensitive to light. Do you ever go to a conference and you get a headache? The halogen lights are kind of jumpy.
100% me.
So you read this book and you're just like, oh my God. And if you can learn what your like entrepreneur personality type is, you can learn to operate in like your top 1%. He doesn't say top 1%, but I'm achieving for top 1%. Then I had my husband, I was like, please read this book. So now he's like, oh my God, I know what's wrong with you. But then he learns what my triggers are. So like my 6-year-old, he knows that like, because we just have so much going on as business owners, there are things that set us off very easily. So he'll protect me from those things so that I don't go into that like, kind of that when we're crabby and condescending and micromanaging and
totally
mode, irritable mode. So now he knows how to protect me from those things.
Yeah.
So he can help me operate at that % as well. So like if my daughter wants to sing the song to Frozen, he's like, let's go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, mommy's busy, let's go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's funny because when you can learn yourself that, to me, when you can learn like your body, that's the eating habits, you can learn how you operate, that's kind of your environment, your surroundings, you can really operate in that top 1% and you can get more things done because you're working at a higher capacity versus constantly feeling burned out, tired, drained, putting out those fires, that day-to-day chaos, which essentially just makes us good at doing the day-to-day.
Yeah.
So good.
That's good.
So good.
What's your relationship with caffeine?
So I have like 1 or 2 cups of coffee in the morning and that's it.
What's up, Profitable Cleaner listeners? Quick question for you. Are you using 5 to 7 different platforms just to manage the everyday operations of your commercial cleaning company? If so, let us help you consolidate that into one platform. Introducing you, uSource. Go to usource.com. Book your free demo today and actually get started on your trial for 60 days. No charge for 60 days, all from time and attendance to reporting, vendor management, operations, sales. It's time you stop using 5 to 7 platforms and consolidate into one. So listeners, don't forget, go to usource.com and start your account today. Impressive.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't.
I'm over here like we need some caffeine, you know.
So I don't drink anything but water or sparkling water.
Yeah.
Because of the no sugar. So we're sparkling water snobs in our house.
Nice.
What's your favorite brand?
It depends. I do like the green bottle, the mountain something. Yeah. It's different. It's bubblier.
I love that.
Like San Pellegrino is always my favorite.
Yeah,
but
totally.
For water snobs, I'm like, ooh, can we get one of those machines in our house?
Yeah.
And I still do like wine. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey.
I just drink very, very much less than I used to.
Once in a while, don't hurt. You know.
Yeah.
Does wine doesn't have sugar in it?
It does have a tiny bit. So you have to find the type of wine. There's some out there. There's some brands that have like no carbs, no sugar. They're like fitness. They're made for healthy people. Yeah.
Skinny wine? No, there's one called Skinny.
There's one called Skinny, and then there's another brand that's out. But you just also have to find the type.
Okay.
Right.
What kind of wine do you like?
I like Cabernet.
Cabernet. I'm so bad at wine, so I just know that's red.
Yes, and dry.
Okay, right. Okay, got it.
Right.
Yeah, I would say you operate. I would agree. You operate life at a different level, but you also do it very holistically. I love everything that you've done up to now. That's why we're like, let's get her back on this podcast because you've been here before.
I have.
This is your second time, and this time around, you're even going to join us. You went as an attendee to our last event, and now Wood Recruit's coming down to the Cleaning Profits.
Yeah, I actually just invited someone to the Denver event last night.
Awesome.
At dinner.
There you go. Let me ask you, because we didn't talk about Wood Recruit, just real quick. What is Wood Recruit? I know you guys are going to be a sponsor at the event. What's Wood Recruit? Give us some insight.
So Wood Recruit is a recruiting process, right? We're not necessarily just a software. It's a recruiting process that I made because I couldn't get myself out of the field. Still own my cleaning business. Was 8 months pregnant, cleaned myself into a job. And I thought, like, this is insanity. This is stupid. Why am I doing this? And I was just doing it that way because that's the way I was taught. Like that's just the traditional ways of recruiting. So we're a recruiting process that's not a traditional method, but that's effective. And if you're looking to scale, it's the only way to scale without costing you more time and more money.
What if someone's listening to this? Obviously, they're a cleaning company.
Yeah.
If they're not a cleaning company and they're listening to a profitable cleaner, thank you very much. But let me ask you, what's the ideal? How big should?
So we recruit now for about 500 cleaning companies, commercial and residential. We have an entire commercial cleaning franchise. We do their entire recruiting for.
Nice.
It's been great learning the franchise side.
Yeah.
But
different game.
Our ICP typically is a company at $1 million and beyond. We cap out around that 17 to 20 million. If you're 17 to 20 million, you probably have too much red tape to go through.
For sure.
So we're about from that 1 million. Sure. Well, we'll consider talking to you if you're at 750,000 and we see fast progress, but and it's because there's variables in that. You need to see the value. You need to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And you also need to have the backing from your office to support, interviewing candidates, because a lot of people come to us that need help, but they're not willing to change the way they were doing it. Yeah. Libby's going to say, well, how was that working for you?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So that's why you're here talking to me.
Well said.
You need various support for that process to run effectively and efficiently. And if you don't have that, we know it's not going to work, and we don't want to sell you something that you're not going to get value from.
Yeah.
That's not talked about enough. Like whenever you bring in a new product, new partner, vendor, software, it's like they never think about the people that are going to do the fulfillment, not from the service you're getting, but from the person that's buying, from the buyer. A lot of the times, especially us as salespeople, they just want to make the deal. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, do you have the management team to interview?
Yep.
Oh, I'm the only one in the office.
Are you willing to change your ways?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or can you interview? No, I'm cleaning in the field all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
How are we supposed to get you staffed?
Yeah, this doesn't work.
And so we have some free tips and tools, and that I've created like a whole recruiting toolkit that will help support someone that's still in those spots.
Yeah.
And then when they're ready, I'm more than happy to talk to you.
I'll tell you this, the knowledge that was dropped on the first 25 minutes of the show around hiring, firing, and people was probably the best 25 minutes of, let's just call it recruitment and employment talk that I can remember. So if you guys think that this is
and this is not even in detail too. This is like high level. Like you probably have some trainings that are just.
The software is very intentional, and as you guys can hear from the knowledge of
the founder.
The founder.
Yeah, inside our software we have an academy where I do like monthly trainings on some of these topics, where you can go in and watch those recordings or come to the live trainings. All things recruiting.
I thought it was cool how like he was like, yeah, I heard somebody, or I heard a mentor once said, and then she's like, yeah, that was me, and he's like, oh. There you go. Like that's in my brain.
Exactly.
But that's because we follow your content so much that it's like, it's engraved in there, and that does help. It's
kind of cool. We both quoted each other in this podcast.
That's true. You guys did quote each other. So I'm leaving apparently. Goodbye. Nah, just kidding. No, I like everything that you've done. Let me ask you a quick question for you. How do you apply all this into motherhood?
Good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah. I'm actually in the middle of writing a book on a lot of this.
Really?
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to be in Dan's group. He gave me his writer for Buy Back Your Time.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So it's going to be that kind of book, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
It's a little intimidating. I'm not going to lie.
Well, now you're going public with it. So
now it's official.
They told me to say that to hold me more.
Hold her accountable. Hold her accountable.
So, how do I apply this to motherhood? It's really interesting because I realized just this week that I'm parenting my daughter like I manage employees, and I'm parenting my two older boys like I manage coaching customers or coaching clients.
Oh my gosh!
Right, and I'm like, why do I do that? And it's really insightful because I think my two older sons, I actually have a really good relationship with them because all of the skills I've learned coaching, I've actually applied to them. Instead of telling them what to do, I'm asking them great questions. My 26-year-old, that's probably why you don't know I have three, because one's 26.
Yeah.
Kind of grown and gone, but he now calls me almost every day for advice. And I'll say, you know, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. He's like, no, Mom, I want you to tell me. He's like, you've never been wrong. I'm like, wait a minute. Can I record that?
Yeah,
exactly. He was younger. We did not have that great of a relationship. You know, he saw me go through some really hard times with his dad, which was an alcoholic, and he was extremely abusive. We got kicked out of the house, like you name it.
Yeah.
Been left sitting on the side of a curb. And so he struggles emotionally with having gone through all that as a kid. But I will say our relationship changed because I apply all these things I'm learning. And if you're a business owner and you're spending all this money learning and you're not taking it back to your kids and your family, you're missing out. And so everything I've learned about like patience and asking the right questions and not micromanaging them, and they have to make their own mistakes, which is what we have to do with our employees. And we learn that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's really repaired our relationship. And the same thing with my 16-year-old. I said, you know, I'm not going to make the mistake I did with the older one, bossing him around, telling him what to do. I'm coaching him, and he's now on the path to college deals for basketball. And
oh, wow.
Got a, you know, 3.something 5 GPA. And I'm like, I don't even care if you go to school.
Yeah.
Like, just do what you want to do. And we're just using basketball as a tool to get him to play next level, because he was homeschooled for a while. But, you know, I'm taking that approach with him. Like, here's the tools. How can I help you more?
Yeah.
But then I realized what I was doing with my 6-year-old is I'm not doing those things because she's so young. It's just like, I got to work. Go to the other room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shame on me.
Yeah.
For that. And I just noticed it like this week. I'm managing her like a bad manager, like an employee, versus like how you treat a coaching. Someone you're coaching, you're asking great questions and you're just listening.
Yeah.
I'm telling her, yeah, be quiet. Like, I got to work. I need you to go to the other room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I told my husband that yesterday. I was like, oh, man, I don't know. I got to change what I'm doing. Yeah. And I think it's because I don't think she can engage in great conversation or questions that I'm not giving her that benefit.
Yeah. So I know we're coming up to the time here. So I want to ask one, do you have an idea of the date of when the book might come out? And I don't mean like maybe like Q something of this year.
Oh, it'll be Q1 of next year.
Oof. Q1 of next year. Make sure you hold her accountable. Put it on your calendar. I like to do the one thing where, like, if someone says that, I'll put it in my personal calendar, even if it's 5 years from now. I'll forget. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, that date will eventually come, and you're like, remind person about, oh my God. And then I call them, and it's pretty fun. I'm going to do that. So Q1 2025, right? Yeah. Next year? Okay, perfect.
It's a pretty large process.
That's a huge process. I'm thinking, that's pretty fast, actually.
But we're already 4 months in.
Yeah.
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 So you have a good team. You have a team. So.
I was lucky enough that Dan gave me his entire launch strategy.
That's awesome.
For Buy Back Your Time.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, he had a good one.
Talk about power of mentorship.
Yeah. Don't recreate the wheel there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if he already has the. Yeah, no, you just. Sounds good. Yeah. We're just talking about that one. It was an NFL kicker. Mm-hmm. He was in the podcast, and he's just like, you just do what your coach tells you.
Yep.
Yep.
Put your ego on the side. Just train, do your part, and everything else will work out.
Ego. That's such a huge topic.
Yeah.
Huge. It'd be a whole nother podcast.
I know.
Yeah, we're going to go 3 hours on ego. Yeah. Someone needs to study. Like, we need to have just an ego topic. I've learned so much
that most of the mistakes I've made is because of my own ego.
100%.
Well, and that's what I was about to say. Your awareness, the awareness that you have on your mistakes and like your understanding of yourself is very impressive, because that's how you know that you don't play to your ego. Because like we talked about the video, the awareness with your daughter, the bad man. It's like, and people, I bet if we studied it, they would be like, oh no, you're a great mom. No, great leader. And then you're like, well, hold on.
Yeah, but it's not to your like internal standard.
Exactly, which is huge.
I totally relate. I have a 6-year-old. I have a 3-year-old, and I've been in those modes. And then I'll be like literally especially with like the summer schedule. Oh, it's really like you feel me on this one, right? And then like I'll be like, just go outside. Yeah. Like, you know, and then I'm like,
only 5 more minutes on the Zoom.
I know. And then I'm like, dude, you're not going to give a shit about this when you're 92 years old.
No.
But he might remember that. Then I'm like, okay, let's reset. Let's be present.
One thing that we're doing is, you know how businesses do quarterlies, right?
Yeah.
Quarterly retreats or quarterly day meetings. Yeah. So Chris and I next weekend are going to do our couples quarterly to plan Like what do we want for the next quarter for the family? How do we want to make any adjustments? And we do it before we go into the business quarterlies, because I own multiple businesses.
Yeah.
So that I know what's needed of me
good.
or where I'm coming from, because me and Chris agreed on it before I go into the company quarterlies.
Yeah.
So I have that in mind.
I would be curious if you had family. Do you have family quarterlies or just couple quarterlies? That would be kind of cool. Like, say, I could see your 6-year-old's like, all right, guys, what about next quarter?
Like, I have a week of quarterlies here. Yeah.
Well, she thinks she has Zoom calls too. So she's in a meeting.
Yeah.
So
no, we don't have the families yet. We just maybe we'll take them for dinner and do a light talk on it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
My kids are all 10 years apart. So they're in like such different stages. Because I have a 26-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
That's crazy that you have to parent at so many different phases.
Yeah.
They're like different companies at different levels.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
That's pretty cool, though. It always amazes me when parents have like an adult child and then, a young child. And
so I have one request from you. I know we're wrapping up here. Any final questions? Anything you want to say? Because I have one little activity for you.
No, I just want to thank you. I think you're awesome. I think you're a go-getter. And this conversation gave me a lot of energy.
Yeah, a lot of insight. Like, I would love to, there's a lot in your brain for recruiting, but also just attacking life very intensely.
To give people perspective, like, we have done 26 podcasts in 4 days. You're our last one.
Oh, I'm the last one.
And so it could, exactly.
I didn't make you cry though.
You didn't make me cry like that, like homeboy just before this. But
it's different. But people need the methodical, the tactical. Where there's a lack of tactical, methodical, like proven processes. It's very hard to find people with a proven result in a lot of different avenues of their life.
Exactly. And it's easy especially when we've had this many conversations in this short amount of time, to like not get the other person's energy, and you brought it. So 100%. Thank you.
Awesome.
So I have an activity. Anything you would like to say? This is your camera, by the way. I totally just like anything, this is your camera.
Yeah.
So anything you would like to say, any messages before I give you a quick activity?
Yeah. I think that, so many people ask me, does it get better? Like, it's so hard. They're tired. They're burnt out. It does. There is a possibility to get better, but first you got to work on yourself before we can go out and fix, the business and our kids and our marriage. Like I said, between working on myself and my marriage is pretty even, but it does get better. And that's what I love, is the tactical process side. It's the organizing side of my brain, but it does get better. You just got to keep working on yourself.
I love it. That's a good message. All right. So here's the activity for you.
Okay.
Ready?
Should I be scared?
Yeah. No, it's not a crazy activity. We're going to do push-ups. So here it is. Your kids are, let's say, they're like, oh, I wonder what mom's doing. So they search you and boom, the Profitable Cleaner podcast comes out. They see 2 episodes and they see that they click on the second one. But they're like, you know what? I don't need to listen to mom for a whole hour. So I'm just going to go to the end. If you had one message for them, you could do them individually. You could do them as a group. You had one message for your kids, what message would you give them? And you could do it looking at that camera.
Oh, okay. So I would tell them to invest in themselves. Is one of probably the greatest things that I've done. Because if I wouldn't, we just had this conversation, James. It's like, he's like, oh, I love that you run in Dan's group. I said, I love it too, but it's expensive to run, like to invest in myself. So to invest in yourself, because, if I knew what I knew now, like when I was 15 or 20, I mean, man, I'd be like, it would be insane. But if, invest in yourself, because sometimes to learn the lesson, we all have to learn certain lessons, but we can also purchase those lessons or get them from our coaches and our mentors. And we don't necessarily need to take 20 years to learn how to do something if we can find a coach that could tell us that solution overnight. So sometimes we have to go through the suck part of things sucking, and sometimes we can buy the answer. And that's by investing in yourself and learning. And also my other one would be curiosity. Don't ever stop being curious.
I love that. Purchase, listen, and be curious. I agree with that 100%. People that says you have to go and feel it, I'm like, no, I don't. Sometimes
some things you do and some things you don't.
Exactly. Some things you just, if you have the money, the time, the effort, go get after it, because you don't want to make that mistake.
Yeah, it's like if you burn your hand touching that and I see you do that, I don't need to do that.
Yeah,
I can trust you on that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Libby, for being here. You're definitely a rock star. It's always a great time. Like he said, brought the energy. I'm ready to go work right now, which is always fun, right? But thank you so much for being here and driving down to or flying down to Dallas just for this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.